Hey, what's going on, guys? It's Brian here from Simple Man's Comics in collaboration with Comic Book Speculation and Investing. Check them out online at www.comicbookinvest.com or search for them on Google+. It's a great comic book community, and I'd love to have you. So today, I'm back to talk to you about pre-orders that you can order right now that are going to be releasing in December of this year. Like I've previously said, by pre-ordering these comics, you can save 30 to 50% off the cover price, but make sure you get your orders in because the cutoff date is always around the 28th of the month. Plus or minus a few days, you just need to check with your source where you're going to pre-order from to make sure you get your order in on time. Comics I'm going to be talking about in this video are from the October preview magazine, which is what you see right now. Like I've said before, this is just my opinion on what I think is worth picking up. I know there's a lot of great titles because there's thousands of titles in this magazine. So if you see something I might have missed, go ahead and comment below, but I just wanted to highlight some of my favorites for the month. As always, this video is divided up by publisher, but beyond that, there's no priority to how the comics are presented. If you do want to pre-order any of these comics discussed in this video, there's a lot of websites that offer pre-orders, and you can also check with your local comic book store and see if they'll order from you as well. I'm not listing or naming any of the sites in this video because they don't pay me money to, and I'm not giving them free advertising. With that being said, let's go ahead and kick this off. First up, we have Sons of Anarchy Redwood Original number 5. This comic's been fantastic. It's a prequel to the hit TV show that was on FX. Now, there's no tattoo variants for this issue like there has been in the previous issues, but there is a subscription variant you should be on the lookout for. Here we have Black Hammer number 6. If you haven't been reading this comic book so far, then shame on you because you're missing out. This is a comic that reminds me, it's the nostalgia of why comics used to be so great. It's written in such a way by Jeff Lemire that you can't put it down. Issue after issue, I've been loving reading. The art in it's fantastic. You need to add this to your pull list and you need to pre-order these because it's a great comic. Jeff Lemire also has a variant for this issue, so you can pick that up as well. All-Star Batman number 5, written by Scott Snyder, John Romita Jr. on art. There's backup story art by Declan Shalvey. There's also 2 variant covers for this. One is by Jock, the other is by Declan Shalvey. So in this issue, Batman, Duke, and Two-Face square off in a fight for Harvey Dent's soul. The assassins are flooding in from across the countryside, and Batman learns that even his most trusted allies must choose evil over good. Batman number 12 and 13, here we have part 4 and the conclusion of the I Am Suicide storyline. Both these issues, Batman takes on Bane and Psycho Pirate in a final battle at Santa Prisca. He also learns whether this mission is truly a suicide mission. I know a lot of people have been harping on Tom King. Everyone's still under that Scott Snyder influence, but I really think Tom King's starting to find his groove in here. Plus, Batman's my favorite character, so he'll always be on my pull list. Now, there are variants for both these issues by Tim Sale. They're not incentive variants, they're 1-for-1. So if you're interested in those, you can pick those up. Cyborg number 6 and number 7. Now, the interesting thing about Cyborg number 6 is it sounds like we might have a new first appearance on our hands with what they're calling She-Borg. Now, that's a pretty crappy name if you ask me, but I don't know how long she's going to last, if it's just one issue or if it's going to be an ongoing, but I'm interested nonetheless, and by pre-ordering and getting those discounts, it's kind of a low risk to take, so I'm going to go ahead and add that to my pool order. Here we have DC Rebirth Holiday Special number 1. There's nothing real fancy about this comic, it just looks like it's going to be enjoyable to read. It's dealing with Christmas stories, it's got Flash, it's got Wonder Woman, it's a bunch of different writers, so looks like an enjoyable read, and I'm going to go ahead and pick this up. Next we have Detective Comics number 946 and 947. I've been loving every issue of this, especially since the Rebirth line. It's almost like the freaking A-Team, but with Batman and his gang. Each issue, oh my gosh, gotta read these. Loving every one of them. I keep picking these up. Also, each one of these issues has a 1-for-1 variant by Raphael Albuquerque. The regular covers, they're just as beautiful because it's Jason Fabak, and he did awesome on Justice League and the New 52. So I can't say enough about these. I'm going to continue picking these up. These are always enjoyable to read. Direct Currents number 1. Now this is something I found interesting in this month of Previews magazine. This is going to be a free quarterly magazine that's going to bring you into the world of DC with exclusive sneak peeks of every title. That's going to start with the new Justice League Suicide Squad crossover. Plus, it's going to give you a look at the all-new Super Sons series that's going to star the offspring of Superman and Batman. It's also going to give you info that's coming up in the second wave of Rebirth titles. It's free to pick up, so why not get it? Because I'm sure it's going to be full of interesting information, and everyone loves previews of new and upcoming comics. The Flash, number 12 and 13. Let me start off by saying this. If you can only afford one comic a month, this is the one you should be picking up. This story is freaking fantastic right now. Every issue has been great. I can't wait to keep adding these. This is actually the first title that I always add to my cart when I'm doing my pre-orders. I can't recommend it enough. One thing to note is in the solicits for number 13, it probably doesn't mean much, but it's saying that Barry Allen goes on a date with a brand new sweetheart. So I don't know if this is like a one-hit wonder or if this might be something that grows. It's one to keep an eye out for. Harley Quinn number 10. Now there's a number 9 issue, but to be honest, I haven't been a big fan of this comic. I know Harley Quinn has immense popularity right now. She's had it for a while. Everyone at cons is cosplaying as Harley Quinn. Suicide Squad just came out. But the real reason I'm only picking this up is because I actually love the cover on this comic. I mean, look at the look on Batman's face. Doesn't look too freaking happy. So, I'm pre-ordering it, but it's only because I love the cover on this. He-Man Thundercats number 3. Now, you can't be a child that grew up in the 80s and not want to automatically pre-order these books. Plus, in number 3, they introduced Skeletor into this series. So, win-win. By all means, make sure you're pre-ordering this miniseries. Injustice Gods Among Us Ground Zero number 1 and number 2. Now, the Ben Oliver covers on this are enough to make you want to pick it up, but there's actually more to these comics. The Injustice series normally has lower print run than the regular DC titles, and it's tied to the video game. So you're bringing in another audience than just your comic readers. So to wrap it up, you have a great cover artist, a great story, low print run, and a secondary audience to want this book. If you're interested, number 1 has a variant cover by Matthew Clark. I don't think it's incentive, it's more like a 1-to-1, but I could be wrong. This early in previews, it's hard to tell. Here we have the first major event storyline of DC Rebirth. This is Justice League vs. Suicide Squad number 1 and number 2. Now the solicitations are saying both of these will ship with 3 covers, but I don't know who the variants are going to be by yet. So you can expect a bunch of tie-in issues, and also a thing of note is that this is going to be a weekly series, so be on the lookout for this. Lost Boys number 3 of 6. Now the first and second issues haven't come out yet, but I've definitely got those on pre-order. I'm really anticipating this comic. It's supposed to be the direct sequel to the 1987 movie, and that's one of my favorite movies of all time. Plus, you have Tim Seeley writing it, so he's really good at writing horror, and I'm actually really looking forward to this. If you need to know more about how I feel about this comic, I wrote an article about it, simplemanscomics.com. Take a look at it. Suicide Squad number 8. Now I admit, when I first started picking these up, it was originally for the Jim Lee art and the Lee Bermejo variant covers, but I've actually been enjoying the story as I've been reading these. But in this issue, Harley Quinn and the Enchantress, they take on General Zod's Black Bolt, and they try to keep him from waking up and taking over the world. On top of that, there's a backup story where they introduce Killer Frost into Suicide Squad, and then that backup story will run into the Justice League vs. Suicide Squad event. So I'm interested to see how this turns out. Teen Titans number 3. Now if you're a fan of the Damian character, you're going to want to pick this book up. Yeah, I understand he was a little bit of a brat a while ago, but his character's actually been growing on me, and I've started to like him more and more. And I just read Teen Titans number 1, and that was an awesome comic book. So I'm going to add this to my pre-order. Not to mention the art by John Boy Myers on this comic is superb. So I'm going to keep picking this up for the time being. Titans number 6. This is the last issue in the first story arc. It's been really good so far. I've really enjoyed the return of Wally West. The solicitations make you wonder what his fate's going to be, though, because he gets trapped in the Speed Force after making the ultimate sacrifice for his friends. Has Wally come to a sudden end? Don't miss the conclusion of the stunning first arc. So, we'll have to wait to see what happens. I hope they don't get rid of him this soon. I don't think they would, especially after finally bringing him back. But I'll pre-order this, and I guess I'll find out. Batman Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles number 2. I've already pre-ordered the first issue of this. I'm looking forward to reading it. It combines Batman and Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, so you can't really go wrong there. I like their last miniseries that they did for them. Plus, the regular cover on this is amazing because it's got all the characters of Ninja Turtles. You got Harley Quinn, Joker, Batman. I mean, you can't go wrong. This title also ships with 2 subscription variants, so be aware of that as well. Dungeons & Dragons Frost Giant's Fury #1. No, we're not talking about Thor here. We're talking about a new series from IDW. What got me interested on this one is, one, I'm a fan of the 80s cartoon. I never really played the game. Played a little bit in grade school, middle school, but I never really got into it. But they're saying there's a renaissance of fans coming back to this RPG type game. So this new series also is tying into the Storm King's Thunder event that runs across multiple RPG products, novels, and video games. So it's a #1. It's got a great fan base, so I'm going to go ahead and add this to my pre-order. Revolutionaries #1. This is from IDW as well. It picks up right from the combined Hasbro universe from the last crossover event called Revolution. It combines G.I. Joe, Transformers, ROM, and the list goes on and on. Now this looks like a great comic. It does ship with 5 different covers, but the one that I kind of have an eye for would be the micro comic variant, because it also is exclusive bound in Sergeant Savage mini comic and has a lost tale written and drawn by the late Joe Kubert himself. So out of all the covers, that would be the one I'd probably pre-order. AD After Death Book 2 of 3. Like I said last month, the main reason I'm pre-ordering this is got 2 comic book heavy hitters in the writing of Scott Snyder and artist Jeff Lemire, so can't help but pick these up. Cannibal #3. Now this series intrigues me because it's based on a small town in Florida that gets hit with an epidemic, and those that are infected by it become cannibals in the small town. First issue's not out yet, so I'm just hoping the story's really great, and I'm adding the 3rd one to my pre-order. Moonshine #3. Now this is a comic series that's been on my radar for a good while. Issue #1 should be coming out this month, so be on the look for that. But while you're at it, you can pre-order #3 right now. This is based in Prohibition area in Appalachia. Kind of reminds me of Lawless meets Boardwalk Empire. One thing to keep of note is there's actually a cover B for this issue that's going to be done by the artist Jock. He does some amazing covers. Not sure what it looks like yet, but keep that on your radar as well. Motor Crush #1. This is a new series from Image. It has the creative team behind the Batgirl revamp towards the end of its New 52 run. And it's about Domino Swift, who competes for fame and fortune in a worldwide motorcycle racing league, but by night she's cracking heads of rival gangs and brutal bike wars to gain possession of valuable contraband. There is a subscription B cover to this by Cameron Stewart, so if you're interested in that, keep an eye out. Reborn #3. Now there's not much else I need to say about this. It's got the art of Greg Capullo, who's probably one of the best interior artists in the comic industry right now. But there is one thing else I want to mention. There's a Capullo variant, which is regular price. There's also an Alex Garner variant, which is regular price. Here you have another new series from Image called Rockstars #1. When a pattern of unsolved groupie murders from 1970s resumes in present-day Los Angeles, nobody makes the connection except Jackie Mayer, rock nerd with strange connection to urban legends and local history. Together with muckraking music writer Dorothy Buell, they soon uncover a vast conspiracy involving a legendary band, demonic possession, and sacrifices to the dark gods of rock. Sounds kind of interesting. Probably be worth picking up the first issue, see how it plays out, so go and add that to your pre-order. Saga #41. Brian K. Vaughan, Fiona Staples, epic comic, nuff said. 7 to Eternity #4. I just finished reading the first issue. Rick Remender does an awesome job. He's always good at science fiction, so I'm going to continue picking these up at least through the first arc and see how it plays out. Here we have Southern Bastards #16. This is one of my go-to stories. I love this comic. It took a little bit of a hiatus, but it's back and it picked up right where it left off. If you haven't been reading it, I suggest you pick up the trades because you're missing out. Also, one thing to keep a note, this has a cover B this month, and it's by Babs Tarr. Walking Dead #161. This is part 5 of the Whisper War. Unless you're living under a rock, you know about this comic already. One thing I've liked is the connecting variants by Art Adams through the past couple issues, so I would pick that up and add it to your pre-order. Here we have Clone Conspiracy #3 of 5. It's written by Dan Slott. Meh. But the good thing about this is the cover on it's absolutely amazing, and of course that's Gabriel Delgado. Now there is a Mark Bagley variant for this, and there's also an Alexander Lozano teaser variant, and there's an XCI variant which is covered by To Be Announced. So there's plenty of variants for this, but I always like the regular cover because it's a Delato. Deadpool number 5 of 5. Besides the fact this is going to be a great story with Deadpool as symbiote, it's also got a fantastic cover swipe of Todd McFarlane's Spider-Man number 1. There's also going to be a Ron Lim variant for this as well. Gamora number 1. Now the interesting thing about this is it's actually written by Nicole Perlman, who wrote the movie script for Guardians of the Galaxy movies. The art's also by Marco Cicchetto. There's a plethora of variants for this. There's a Cicchetto variant. There's a Tula Lotte variant. There's a hip-hop variant by unknown artist yet. There's also a teaser variant by Mike Deodato. And then, of course, there's the ICX variant, which is yet to be announced by which artist. Hawkeye number 1. Here we have Kate Bishop as Hawkeye. Not too crazy about the comic itself or the story, but I really like the regular cover on here because I'm a sucker for yellow covers, and Tedesco does the art for it, and it's absolutely beautiful. Also, there's a buttload of variants for this comic this month. There's a variant cover by Margaret Savage. There's a design variant by Leonardo Romero. There's a hip-hop variant by Marco Rudy. There's another variant cover to be announced. There's an ICX variant cover to be announced. And there's also a blank variant as well. Hulk number 1. Another fantastic cover. Like I said, I'm a sucker for yellow covers, and this one really pops. This takes place directly after the events in Civil War. Really interesting story. We're going to see how it plays out. There's, like all the other Marvel titles, there's a host of variants this month. There's a Dale Keown variant. There's a Young variant cover by Scotty Young, of course. There's an artist cover by Pia Guerrera. There's a classic Hulk artist variant cover by Dale Keown. There's a hip-hop variant cover to be announced. There's an action figure cover by John Tyler Christopher. Go figure. There's an ICX variant cover to be announced. And there's also a blank cover for this issue. So take your pick. There's plenty of covers to choose from. Nova number 1. The tagline is Classified is back. Classified makes his roaring return to the Marvel Universe. How will Sam Alexander cope with this unfathomable homecoming? But what really has me sold on this is the variant for this. There's a teaser variant by Francesco Mattina. Looks pretty sweet. There's also an action figure variant by John Tyler Christopher. There's also a hip-hop variant by Christian Ward. And of course, as there is all titles this month, it seems, there's an ICX variant as well. Venom number 2. All you really need to do is look at the cover of this, and you automatically want to add it to your pre-order. So, the solicitation reads as, who's taken possession of the symbiote and turned him back into the slathering fanged monster? Be interesting to find out. Unlike all the other Marvel titles, it seems to be, there's only actually one variant announced for this, and it's by an artist that's to be announced. Hillbilly number 7. This story continues to be great, and also seems to continuously have a low print run. I know it's probably going up because the demand is going up, but I forgot to pre-order number 3, and I went to my comic book store this week, and they were already sold out of them. So I'd go ahead and pre-order these if you want it. Also, within the same month, the second print for Hillbilly number 1 and Hillbilly number 2 will be releasing, so you can get those as well. Chimichanga number 1. Now, there's currently a new Chimichanga series that's being published by Dark Horse right now, but this one here gives you a chance to own the original first issue, signed and resketched by Eric Powell from Eric's own personal archive. They're saying it's not a reprint. So, if you're interested in that, add that to your pre-order. I don't know how many copies exist, but I thought I'd put it out there. So that's all I got for you this month, guys. I hope you enjoyed the comics I've shared with you, and you take full advantage of those discounts by pre-ordering these titles. If you feel there's titles I might have missed, please add those in the comments below because we'd love to hear from you. Either way, if you enjoyed this video, I invite you to like it by clicking the thumbs up button, add your comments, and subscribe to our channel so you can catch more videos in the future. I'd also like to give a shout out to Comic Book Speculation and Investing. They're a great website, they're a great Google Plus community. If you love comic books, check them out. Their website is www.comicbookinvest, or you can search CBSI on Google Plus. Till next month, this has been Brian from Simple Man's Comics. Stay frosty, my friends.